Number one, a country's foreign policy is expansionist. So the first thing you want to check here, you can tell from the answer choices that one of the things being tested is apostrophes. That's why this is on the apostrophes worksheet. But what you check here, first of all, is there in fact possession? And in this case, there is possession because foreign policy comes right after the word countries. It's the country's foreign policy. So then you just ask yourself, okay, is there one country or are there multiple countries? And you can't actually tell here based on the context because you could be saying multiple countries' foreign policy is expansionist. But then if you look at the answer choices, this is the only one that has an apostrophe after the S, but countries is not spelled correctly. This is the correct spelling of countries, plural, and that does not have an apostrophe on it, so that one cannot be correct. This one doesn't have an apostrophe on it either, so that can't be correct. And then again, this one has the apostrophe after the S, but it's not spelled right. It would have to be, again, spelled like that with an apostrophe after it. So then that one can't be right. And then let's just check this one. That is country, singular, apostrophe S. That is how you would use it if you were talking about a single country. So the correct answer there is A. Number two, the military recently unveiled its first armed spacecraft. Now here, it is possessive, but it's a pronoun. And so when we have a possessive pronoun, you don't have an apostrophe because this right here, it apostrophe S, would indicate a contraction. The military recently unveiled it is first armed spacecraft, so it is does not work there. There definitely isn't right because that is the wrong there. Even if it were, even if there would be appropriate, it would have to be THEIR, so we can get rid of that one. And then this ITS with an apostrophe after it, that will never occur in the English language. And so your answer here for a possessive its is no change. Number three, a large cryptic sign marks the road's end. So here we would ask, is there possession? There is, because the word end comes right after roads, the road's end. In this case, you would ask yourself, are we talking about multiple roads or are we talking about one road? And it would seem from the context, based on the fact that the sign is marking the end of the road, we're most likely talking singular. So no change cannot be correct because there should be an apostrophe somewhere. This is just something you'll never see right there. And then this one here, because it's apostrophe after the S, implies that there are multiple roads. And this should be just the end of one road. And so our answer there is going to be D. Number four, I can make out a figure in the shadow surrounding. I could make out a figure in the shadow surrounding the well-lit house. So the first thing you want to do here is check, is there a possession? And in this case, the word surrounding does not belong to the shadows. It's just modifying the word shadows. And so it should just be, I could make out a figure in the shadows surrounding the well-lit house. There is no possession there. And so A is incorrect. B is incorrect. A is incorrect. B is incorrect because that implies that there is possession. And again, this one could never occur. And so your correct answer is just C, no apostrophe. So it's basically a trick possessive apostrophe question. Number five, the magnifying glass is so powerful you can make out the hairs on an ant's leg. Is there a possession? First of all, there is. Legs is coming after the word ants. First thing you'd want to check there. So that means we know we need an apostrophe, so we're going to eliminate that one. Again, this one, you're never going to see ants' legs. But the question now is it plural or singular? That determines where we put the apostrophe. In this case, the "an" right there tells you that it should be singular. We're talking about the legs of an ant, a singular ant. And therefore, the correct answer should be this one where you put the apostrophe before the S. Whoops, I didn't mean to cross that out. That is your answer. Number six, you get expelled for copying someone else's work. Well, that one clearly isn't right. There is possession here. It should be someone else's work. Because there is possession, it can't be this one. And then the question is it plural or is it singular? And so let's look at, does the work belong to someone else's or does the work belong to someone else? And it should be the work belongs to someone else, which means it's singular, which means that is our answer. Number seven, the giant gems were arranged in a cluster. They looked like radioactive birds' eggs. So in this case, is there possession? There is possession because we have the word eggs right after birds, so it's the birds' eggs. We can then eliminate this one because that indicates there is not possession. Again, this one, birds is not a thing. How do you tell here whether it is a singular bird or multiple birds? Well, if it was a singular bird, you would have to have a in front of it, like, or rather right here, like a radioactive bird. But it doesn't say a radioactive bird, it just says like radioactive bird's eggs. And so because there's no a or the in front of it, that means it has to be plural. And therefore the correct answer is C. Number 8, after the divorce, I split time at each of my parents' houses. Now, this one's a little confusing because it's each of my parents' houses. Now, it is plural, right? I'm sorry, it is possessive. Houses belongs to the parents. Students get confused here because it's kind of implying that it is each individual parents. But if you kind of swap this around here, you could think of it as I'm splitting time at the houses of each of my parents. Ooh, butchered that. Of my parents. And so you can see there that your base word does have an S at the end, and therefore it is plural, and so you would want to put the apostrophe after the S. So the correct answer there is no change. Now we get a little more complicated. Number 9, Spiff became one of the administration's most outspoken representatives. So in this case, the word representatives is not possessive. There is nothing coming after the word representatives that the representative is possessing. So that means we can eliminate A, we can eliminate C. And then I would then focus on, well, what's the difference between B and D? And it looks like the only difference there is that B has the apostrophe right there. And so we'd want to ask ourselves, is there possession there? And there is possession because it is the administration's representative. The representative belongs to the administration, and therefore the answer there is B. Number 10, the black light revealed fingerprints on one of the frame's corners. Here again, fingerprints is not actually possessive here because there's nothing that belongs to the fingerprints. It's not saying like the fingerprints ridges or something like that. So that means we can most likely eliminate that one, and we can also eliminate this one because this one also implies that fingerprints is plural, or is possessive rather. Now, what is the difference between these two? One is possessive, one is not possessive. So if we look here at the frame's corners, well, the corners do belong to the frames, and they're coming right after each other, the frame's corners, and therefore it should be possessive. So your correct answer there is C. And then finally, number 11, the book's representation of women's health issues was widely criticized. So this is kind of an interesting one because you can't tell here whether book is supposed to be plural or singular, because it could be multiple books representation or it could be one book's representation. There definitely is possession, though, but that doesn't help us because all of these have the apostrophe. Now, on the real test, you might be able to figure it out from the context. But let's see, because we don't have the context here, let's see if we can figure it out in some other way. Well, this one also has no change, has an apostrophe after issues. That is not possessive. It's not the health issues something. Nothing's belonging to the health issues. So that means we can eliminate that one. This one also has a apostrophe after health issues. And now if we look at the difference between B and D, it looks like the only difference is that this one, Google Docs is helping you out here. But the health issues do belong to the women's. The word women's does not exist without an apostrophe. It should be the women's health issues. And therefore we do want the apostrophe there. And this tells us that it is in fact singular. The singular book's representation of women's health issues was widely criticized. And so our answer is B.